Okay. So, actually, go like what? Sure, go like. Okay, there is live. Okay, let me go to a live. Red, check out. No, can you go up Salam? No, so Saturday. Ben. But the live is already red now. Checking call close it. Okay.
It seems very light because it's recording.
Should we carry it?
Having our lives to today, and we thank Him for all that He has done for us. The theme for this edition of Knowledge Without Course is life lessons from the Seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Uh, Majority of us, we have been hearing about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we have some skeletal knowledge about him, particularly with regard to his Seerah. And if we do not have adequate knowledge about the Seerah of the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the things that we denied. One, we will not appreciate even the personality of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Some aspect of the deen, we will be ignorant of some aspect of the deen, particularly the causes, everything that led to some of these things. It is through the Seerah that we'll be able to learn this, and also the sacrifices that the Prophet, along with his companion, made for the cause of Islam. So many of us who are so familiar with some personality, even though at times those personality are not even Muslim personality, they are not Muslim personality. If some of us are asked to even narrate the life story or biography of some people, we'll be narrating it even without looking at the book. But of what benefit is the narration of this personality, I mean the biographies of this personality, if we are so ignorant about that of our own, who is the noblest of all prophets of prophet and messengers and even the leader of mankind. So that's why we thought it appropriate that we should try and do a course, a knowledge builder course on this. And inshallah, it's going to take 3 days as we know as had been advertised. And Alhamdulillah, will have competent hand to handle this Sirah, even though we won't be able to exhaust everything. But the little we are able to do, I believe and I hope that it will go a long way to acquaint us with knowledge of the Prophet and everything that has to do with his Sirah. I won't want to waste much of our time. I think the timetable will be given to you, or maybe it will have been distributed to you now. So we want you to go through the timetable and see what we have. For today, we have 3 lectures, and these 3 lectures will be handled by our invited lecturer, particularly our Sheikh, Sheikh Ibrahim AbdurRauf, is going to set the ball rolling by taking us through the lineage, path, and early life of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This will be followed by questions and answers. Then we take the second lecture, that is before revelation and after revelation. This one will be handled by our brother, who is also coming to the position of Sheikh too. And many of us will have known him, but inshallah, I'll just mention his name, but some of you may not know that he's the one. That is in person of Brother Tajuddin Abu Ishaq. And also we have another brother also who is going to handle the third lecture after we'll have had a break for Salat and maybe relaxation. That will be Brother Nuruddin Abu Jafar. They are all here. They have been here since yesterday. As at noon yesterday, they are already in Lagos, and even they have been around before many of us got here. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward all of them for their dedication and sacrifice for the cause of Islam, and also reward each and every one of us. So I won't want to waste our time, so I will hand over the microphone to our Sheikh to start the lecture, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد, the second of the twin statements of Iman is Shahadatu Anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. The twin statements of Iman are Shahadatu Allah ilaha illallah. Its twin is Shahadatu Anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. When we affirm that there is no deity that deserves worship except Allah subhanahu, we affirm that there is no human being that deserves following above all except who? Muhammad. So as Muslims, the first jobs we owe ourselves is to correct our iman regarding Allah subhanahu. And that will not be complete without knowing Allah by His names and His attributes. It will be hard for us to worship Allah correctly without Tawheed. And that's why those statements of Iman that we mentioned, the ulama will express it in another way. They will say, At-Tawheed Tawheedan. Tawheed is in two forms. Tawheed Allah in ibadah, wa Tawheed Rasulillah bimada biktiba. As we affirm Allah for worship alone, we also affirm that following and obedience is for who alone? The Prophet Muhammad. So to be a thing of sadness that our knowledge of Allah is little, while we are people of Iman. And much more little than that is the knowledge of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam that the average Muslim has. It really pains the mind. One of the scholars said, if you ask a person, he will say he has learned Tawheed. But Tawheed is not a thing to learn and set aside. It's something to learn again, to read again, to read again. As we read the Quran, that's another problem on its own. Many of us don't read the Quran. So how do we start solving this problem? Many of us, we don't read the Quran. Otherwise, as we read the Quran, we read the books of Tawheed. We also should be reading about the Prophet Muhammad. Although when we read the Quran and understand the Quran, we will get the foundation of the Prophet's Seerah in it. Because from the Masadir, from the sources of the Seerah of the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, itself is the Quran. So you find in the Quran the events of the life of the Prophet Muhammad والسلام. But the reading of the Quran by the average Muslim today is poor. So how do we start from? We encourage us to read the Quran. We encourage us to read the books of Tafsir along with the Quran. And then we encourage us to read the books of Tawheed. Those books will single out those topics for particular discourses. Just like the books of Seerah will open up and expatiate on the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I can notice that we have to mention a manner with this discussion we want to have in the entirety of this course. And that is that the salatu and salam we will say on the messenger will be continuous and non-stop. Each time his name is heard, each of us individually has a duty to himself. What do you say? You say salatu on him and salam. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu reports a hadith that is collected by Imam Tirmidhi in his Sunnah, that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Al-Baqil man dhukirtu indahu wa lam yusalli alayhi. Al-Baqil, the absolutely stingy, as if there is no worse than being stingy than that, is he, dhukirtu indahu, I am mentioned in his presence. Wala yusallim, walam yusallim alayhi. Although he will not say salatu wa salam. La yusalli alayhi. So for the sake of Allah, from the manners of this discourse is that each time we mention his name, alayhi salatu wa salam, we have a duty to say what? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's going to show how, bi'idhnillah, virtuous such gatherings will be. A gathering where you are for 1 hour, the entirety of the discussion of the Prophet Muhammad, and you continue to say alayhi salatu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he said alayhi salatu wa sallam, man salla alayya marratan sallallahu alayhi biha ashra. Man salla alayya marratan. Whoever asks Allah for salat and salam on me once, sallallahu alayhi biha ashra, for that one that he asked for me, Allah will give you 10. Your one cannot be like Allah's one. The one you do cannot be like the one Allah will give you. So it's a very, very virtuous thing. Don't forget, as we go along in this discourse, we have a duty to be saying salatu and salam on the messenger. So we have a duty to perfect our iman by knowing about the Prophet Muhammad. And like the Shaykh